Good evening, sir.
Good evening, madam. So, madam, I'll make you as a
Good evening.
good
Good evening, sir.
evening, VC sir.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Both Dr. Nagashweta and Sunil Chinadurai and all
Madam,
students.
I'll make you as a host, madam. Yeah.
Should we start, sir?
Yes, I think we should start on time.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, VC sir, Dr. Sunil Chunadarai, and all the dear students who have joined today for the session. Welcome you all for the first lecture series on awareness about international or higher education abroad. And this is basically aimed to help and support you and clarify your doubts and any other support or mentoring that you would be expecting from the university. So this is our maiden series, and today we will be discussing overview about what we are aiming and what does the international office do, what kind of support can you expect, and what is the glitches or the problems or the hurdles that you are facing in applying for international education. What are your aspirations? We would like to understand. So and we will be meeting very regularly, very often, at least once in every fortnight, so that we make a quick progress and we try to understand where you stand, and the hand holding process is quite smooth and easy. So I would request Honorable VC sir to address you all, and then we will discuss more at length about the activities and other support programs from the IR office. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Nagashweta, Dr. Sunil Chinadurai, and my dear students. I'm very happy that we are starting this higher education awareness and information series. Today is the first one. I must congratulate both and thank both Dr. Nagashweta and Dr. Sunil Chinadurai. You don't need any introduction to Dr. Sunil Chinadurai, who has been holding this charge for the last 4 years, very successfully placed our students, good number of our students in higher studies in well-reputed universities. Dr. Nagasweta joined us as Associate Director of International Relations on 1st September. She is a PhD in Civil Engineering from North Carolina and postdoctoral at Chennai, IIT Chennai, and worked in various universities, last one being at Galgotias in International Relations. Of course, many of you may not know what efforts are actually put in by this Virgin University, be it placements or be it entrepreneurship or higher studies. Almost on a fortnightly basis, the president reviews. On all these aspects, Dr. Sunil Chinadurai has been briefing President about the progress made and the efforts put in for counseling for higher education and what are the universities targeted and what are the student preferences. From time to time, he has been collecting the information from all of you and has been briefing. It's very important that students must know right from first year onwards. That is why we three were discussing the other day as to how from the day one, be it placements or higher studies, how this counseling process will go on, how the support services will be extended. I'm sure that they are going to describe during today's program what are all the efforts that they are putting in for various types of training, be it GRE, be it TOEFL, or be it writing SOPs, okay, or how to get proper letters of recommendation, how important it is to get a true letter of recommendation reflecting your association with your professors. Otherwise, I know I have visited the entire University of California, starting from Berkeley to Los Angeles, Livermore, and we visited Stanford and Princeton. When we were meeting professors, the common complaint from many of them is the standardized letter of recommendation that is submitted by many applicants from India, and they simply keep it aside after just going through. They don't even see any other thing. So that is why it is very important, and our international relations and higher studies people are going to tell you about all these aspects, how to write a proper statement of purpose, because these things really matter apart from your academic performance in terms of CGPA. More than CGPA are the projects that you have done, not necessarily the academic projects. What are the other things like community services? They give a lot of importance. The community connect, community service, various other involvements in co-curricular activities are given a lot of importance while deciding on your admission. The overall holistic personality is what they aspire. So especially your research projects, if you publish during your undergraduation, so that will give a lot of weightage. I don't mean that your CGPA will not. Certainly CGPA is also required. But in addition to that, these things really matter. So I'm sure this particular series, Higher Education and Information series, where they are going to tell you about the opportunities available, not necessarily in US, Canada, Australia, European countries, Taiwan. Maybe in some countries you may not have similar support of financial assistance, but there are excellent opportunities as far as the academic challenges are concerned. They are going to dwell upon all such type of aspects. I'm sure through discussions, you are going to get enriched and take the right decision in choosing the correct university and the correct program. With this, I wish all of you great success, and I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to interact with you. After I have joined, it has been mostly virtual, and I have also not interacted with many except few. So thank you, Directorate of International Relations. I wish all of you a great success. Over to you, Dr. Nagasweta.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And this was certainly your idea that we should be talking to the students and understand them personally. And we are really glad that it is happening and we have started off with this. Dear students, VC sir has covered most of the outline on the very key points on how does this higher education cell function and what are the very important parameters that we should be looking at. And it is not limited to United States, and the very important things that we actually should be considering, and we will be covering also at length in the next discussion in the next half an hour to 45 minutes. So I will share my screen. I have a small presentation, though not very elaborate, because I didn't want to scare you all at the first meeting itself. So I have a very small, crispy presentation that what IR office is and what we are planning to do. How do we want to help you all? Yeah. So the first awareness series about higher education, especially with regard to international. We will definitely also discuss about the education within India also sometime very soon. But this session is mainly focused about higher education abroad or overseas. Okay, so as sir has mentioned, I have recently joined SRM University, Andhra Pradesh as Associate Director for International Relations. And this is maybe it's like 15 or 16 days to be very precise. And I'm kind of trying to understand the scope of work and how can we actually bridge the gap between the students and the IR office, and how can we facilitate in a much better way so that your aspirations of getting into the best schools internationally is fulfilled, and also our vision of supporting the most meritorious and capable students to get their best possible exposure in the international education. So as said, I represent the International Relations and Higher Studies Office in the university, and we basically work to initiate, support, and implement international activities, programs, and help the students whoever are interested in the same. So, and we are located in the admin block, second floor, and cabin number 6. So whenever you need something that you have to ask or you would like to meet, you can definitely drop in there. And in case you have any questions, since we are mostly in the hybrid model or the virtual model right now because of the pandemic, you can write to us at ir.helpdesk@srmap.edu.in. This is especially for the international activities or education, SAP, be it anything that you have, you can definitely write it right your query over there, or you can also write directly to me at associatedirector.ir@srmap.edu.in. Okay, so that is about us, that is about the activities that we do and how can you reach us, and what are we mainly aiming to do, and what do we have in our plans. Though this is not limited to, we are open to suggestions, and we would definitely want to take it from your students at what kind of help you are looking from international office. We will definitely try to inculcate it. So though the international office will work on so many of these segments, but right now our focus for today's evening will be about higher education. Though we will be helping you all with student exchange, SAP programs, and with the training programs, other workshops, events, and if you're interested in any kind of internships, placements, we will definitely be working on that eventually. But right now, today's evening, we will be focusing on the higher education abroad. So the main key aspects that today I would like to discuss are, I just wanted to summarize just as 4. Why really higher education, and where should we pursue it, and how do we pursue it, and how can we help you. I'm sure you all are quite brilliant and good smart students who are kind of aiming high and would want to pursue little more that extra edge onto your careers, onto your CVs, onto your profiles by getting into the best schools internationally, everywhere, all around the globe. So for that, I'm sure you must be having some reason why you really want to do this. Maybe it is because of to pursue or excel in a particular passion, which probably has very limited or very minimum scope, or maybe that particular course is not being available in the country, within the country. Or maybe you would want to have a sense of accomplishment that you had gone to the best schools in the world. Definitely they add a lot of flavor and experience and exposure to you. Maybe to identify your skills to grow as a person, because the very important thing, definitely your CV will grow if you're going to some UC Berkeley, Davis, MIT, Trinity, or Harvard, Oxford. All these will have a lot of skills as a at the same time, you will groom as a person by yourself. I mean, not just this is not which I have gathered from the internet or somewhere, but it is a personal experience. I mean, if I can share a couple of minutes about it, I was not the person what I am before I went to the United States for my higher education. I was a very highly conservative person, a typical girl brought up in a small South Indian family, wherein you have a lot of things that shoulds and should not do, that and this, lot of things. So very conservative, just behind mom and dad, whatever they say, lot of things. Not only that, unable to make decisions, not really that career conscious, not independent. For every small thing you get panic, you get worried, you get go meet, ask your parents. So there were a lot of things that I was not before my higher education abroad and after. So you groom yourself because there is probably no option, or probably you're in a land of diversity and independence wherein you have to do everything for yourself to prove yourself. And Indians, to be very honest, are very smart in that. They excel and they are very hardworking. And that is the reason probably we are everywhere across the globe. There is probably hardly any place where you will not find an Indian, be it Africa, be it Australia, be it any part of the, no, I'm not talking about just the elite places, not just the Europe or America, but even at the remotest corners of the world also, Indians have survived and they have excelled. So we have that inbuilt capability of surviving and proving, and this blend of an advanced country, their education system, their cultural diversity, their opportunities, they both blend and give you or reform yourself as the best personality you could imagine out of yourself. So I feel that that should be one great reason why you should be pursuing higher education, especially if there is an opportunity, especially if your resources are matching. I don't want you all to go home, fight, and make some hue and cry saying that no, I have to go abroad itself. It's not like that. If your resources match, if there is a right opportunity, if those resources are well spent at the right place, then you should definitely go for it. And as I said, the personality development, the practical benefits, because the education system, I mean, there is nothing to talk less about us or more about it. It is we are just a country of 70 years old, and if you're talking about America, they're centuries old. So they have evolved over a period of time. Princeton was not what it was when it was 50 years or 60 years. Now it is like 300, 400, 500 years university. So they have evolved over time. Their pedagogy, their way of explanation, their way of evaluation, everything has grown, and we are also somewhere close to that, and we will be there. But at this particular point of time, they definitely offer a great edge to the existing skills that we have. Indians or we students here have lot of technical skills, hardworking nature, and if that is rightly matched with the best of the education system, you can definitely do wonders. So I feel that is also one very important reason, that if there is at all any scope of pursuing higher education, you should definitely do that. And I know the other practical reasons, that you will definitely be in a reputed position, you will be highly regarded, and you have various other things in a society that you can show off, or not exactly show off, but not in the wrong sense, but wherein you can definitely showcase yourself as a different person altogether. But we have a lot of confusion. There are so many countries, there are so many places, so many best universities across the globe, and we always get lost. Why not Ireland? Why not UK? Why not London? Why not America? There are so many questions. How do we really have to apply there? Why most of the students only choose United States, and when compared to other countries, why not something else? So I will not go through in very much detail, because it won't be, I can't wrap it up in 45 minutes, but we will definitely my intention was that whenever you have such kind of confusion, or whenever you feel that apart from United States, if you want to explore some other opportunities, how do you want to do, we will definitely help you, assist you, ensure that you have that applications or the process or everything in place. So I'm sure most of you are might be in your third year, or I don't know, maybe even in the final year. I am not sure if some second year students have also joined. But irrespectively of whatever year you are in your undergraduation, I'm sure you must have thought for a while, in case I would want to go abroad, which country, as I said just a couple of minutes ago, there could be a lot of confusion. Which country should I be going? And really, is that affordable or not? After, if you definitely don't want to go just to study, most of the cases, there could be some exceptional cases who just want to study and come back, but usually people would also want to work for a while, make the best possible experience over there, because working experience is also very much different there, and it will definitely add value in case you would want to return to your homeland. So what are the countries that will offer you good opportunities? Because not all countries are friendly with respect to making a professional career. Some might be easy, some might be tough, some might be very tough, and some might be very expensive. So there could be a lot of parameters and confusion that must be going on for few students. Some students might be very straightforward. They know they must be having their cousins or siblings or some other generation of people who must have settled in a certain place, and you must be getting some good feedback on this is what it is like and this is how you should be. So there could be a couple of sets of students here who might be having this confusion, or you might be very clear on what to do. But irrespective of whatever it is, international office will help you in both the cases. In case you're clear that you would want to go just to the United States, or just to the UK, or just to the Australia, we will definitely help you on the process on how do you actually meet your goals or aspirations, or getting into those universities of your choice or of your dream. If not, on how to pick the decisions, on how to make the country of your pick out which university, which country, which place, which course, which program, we are there for you right from that very beginning or very scratch as well. So you don't have to worry, we will be there with you, and you can write to us n number of times, you can definitely buzz us n number of times. So as I said, when we go to this international education, this picking up the right country, right university and course or program is the most trickiest part, especially with so much of information that is being bombarded everywhere. There is so much on the YouTube, on the social media, so many people, cousins, neighbors, everybody says somebody must have made a career in Ireland, so they say Ireland is the best. Somebody must be made a career in Dubai, they say Dubai is the best. Somebody in US. So you have so much of mixed information. So it is not so easy to process an huge amount of information. Sometimes lack of information is better than having excess of information. So I think the students at this right now, they are having excess information, and that itself is creating a huge confusion on what to do and what not to do to a certain segment of students. We can definitely help you. We can have a case-to-case analysis. We can understand where you stand, what would be the best university, not only the best university and the country, but also the program many a times, because maybe getting into a computer science, AI, or data analysis or data science program in MIT or a Stanford could be tough, but maybe getting into some other program in MIT might be relatively easy. In case you have a target university, sometimes you have a target school, sometimes you have a target program. It changes from person to person. Like for example, I had a target university. I didn't have a target program, to be very honest. I just wanted to do in that particular university, irrespective of the program or the specialization. So sometimes that changes, and sometimes it is also like the funding opportunities. If you have two or three universities, and if you understand that instead of getting into this university, maybe that university might give me a full funding or an RA or a TA or some kind of a scholarship, which will help you to ease on your pockets and have less pressure onto the family, maybe that also could be a decision making criteria. So there could be multiple things that you must be working on or thinking about as a family, with your parents, by yourself, with your friends, on how to choose and what to choose. So we will definitely be there with you on where to study, how to study, and what are the experiences you might be having, expecting over there. What are the essential requirements, how to choose your subject, how to ensure that you might get a scholarship, if not in the first semester, at least from the second semester. How do you pick on your on campus working opportunities, or how do you plan for your internship, because most of the universities abroad, once you finish your 9 months of coursework, you can apply for an CPT, or you can work on campus or off campus also for 40 hours. So there are a lot of opportunities with which we can actually do some backward engineering, and we can help you with that. So, and how do you actually go there? I'm sure you all must be knowing about this process. Dr. Sunil has explained me that you have worked a lot on this. Students are working a lot on this, and we have good amount of data from many students on who is working where, at what stage you all are in. Some of them, if there is a different batch of students, but still I would want to reiterate on this. I'm sure you must be knowing that you will have to give your GRE, TOEFL, or IELTS depending upon the country of your choice. And most importantly, as VC sir also mentioned, it is very important. It is not just the GPA. You must be having 8.5, 9 or 9.5, or sometimes even 10 on 10. But it might not really be the only criteria which the international universities pick on. They choose you as a person, not just your paper or not just your certificates or your grades. Your grades might be very good, but maybe you don't have any interpersonal skills, or maybe you're not an amicable person, or maybe you don't have that communication skills, or maybe you can't write good English, or you can't. There could be so many things that university would want to check on. That is the reason they ask you for a statement of purpose. That is the reason they ask you for letter of recommendation, so that they understand what kind of a person are you, so that the best known professor or the your boss, if you were doing an internship, your supervisor, your guide, or your teacher, whoever it is, when they certify and say that yes, Shweta is so and so person, that adds value to your application, saying that okay, she is the kind of a person which our university would want. Because maybe sometimes you just don't end up in doing your masters. Maybe you will go into a doctoral program, and you might be setting up there, establishing yourself as a good researcher or a good citizen. You might be settling down there. there could be a lot of other things that usually after the masters that happen. So they would want a person who will add value to the university, to the program, and also even to their country. Everybody would want to. So building your profile is the key, and it is just don't work it is definitely important to have good grades and marks, but not just the marks could be just 30% of it or 40% of it, to be very honest. There is a lot more to add to your profile that makes you, in fact, the first come first serve is what is the mantra for international universities. You apply first, you open up a lot of opportunities for yourself, because that speaks about your seriousness, that gives the professor and the department to evaluate your case very carefully, and maybe once they make a decision, they won't go back. So even if there are some other students who have applied after you, maybe because of them your rejection chances will be very less. So first come first serve, ensure that you apply before the deadline, at least quite some time, give some time for career lags or some other technical glitches or whatever it is. Maybe sometimes your scores don't reach on time, because not every score can be reported through your ETS or your Prometric services. When you give your exam, maybe sometimes you have to report them in a different way. So there could be so many things that it happens. Maybe the application portal is down for that day. You might be thinking tomorrow is the last date, let me apply today. So maybe there could be so many things. Don't hold on to the last phase of it. Finish it off as early as possible. Prepare at least 6 months way ahead. So if you, in case you're planning for next fall, which means that by now your GRE, your TOEFL, your SOP, your LOR, everything should have been done, and you should be sending out your applications by maximum by October ending or November, so that once they open up these review process or shortlisting, you will be on that first phase of lot. So your GRE, your TOEFL definitely adds value, and I'm not really worried about that, because we generally, students here are good at math, they're decent with English, maybe TOEFL a little bit here and there. We are definitely working on having some support system for that. We have some tie-ups made with some external agencies and vendors who can help you. So that is in the pipeline, and it will be sorted out very soon, and we will be announcing it to you officially once it is there. So on campus, you will be having some support for sure with respect to your preparation for these competitive exams, especially GRE, TOEFL, and IELTS. Profile building, as VC sir has mentioned, CSR, not CSR for you, but the society or the humanitarian cause or the thing that you work for as a person to the society. What is the value addition that you are doing? It could be as small or as big, based upon your capabilities, your availability, your resources, everything. Resources, when I say, it is not just money all the time, even time is a huge resource and commodity these days. So based upon whatever you can, whatever is your calling. So there could be somebody who's interested in working towards environment, somebody towards water, somebody towards air, somebody towards education. There are so many problems everywhere. It is not just India, it is everywhere across the world. So you can pick anything of your choice that you feel, or you have that sense of connection, that I should be adding some value as an individual to that. You can do that. You can build your profile on that. You can work with your professors, your guides on some projects, or be it a minor project as well. It need not be very major at a BTech level, but if possible, you should definitely explore, write some papers, attend some conferences, because whenever you go for a conference, you're given an opportunity to speak in front of some learned people. That itself will add a lot of confidence in you, because you will be able to talk, explain, and defend your point. So that makes a lot of difference. So these may sound as very small, but they're actually not, because in today's world, even if you're little bad with your technical skills, but if you have that interpersonal skills where you can go meet people, learn from them, so that automatically will change you as a person. So if you can talk to your point, explain it what you really have in your mind, and if the opposite person is able to understand, that is what the international universities would want, because you're coming from an altogether different life, different culture, different language, different mode of education, everything. But still they would want you, because if you have that thing in you wherein you can talk, you can explain, you can mingle up with their culture, their education system. That is what they're looking at. So everything matters, especially I would say, of course, I'm not sure if you have first years and second years. VC sir always says that this has to start right from the beginning of the first year, ideally. So because your career or your profile cannot be built in one semester. Maybe now you might be thinking, let me go do an internship. Maybe sometimes you don't have that time, because you might have to finish your coursework, grades, applications, GRE, TOEFL, this in the in-campus exams, midterms. It could be a very crazy schedule for you. But in case you start it right from your second year, first year, ideally, you will have ample amount of time. Okay, in case you were not, because second years and till fifth semester, you're kind of little okay. You don't have so much of pressure of graduating, what next and all this. So the first 5 semesters, you can work on building your profile. You can participate in a lot of intercultural, interstate, whatever kind of, if you're a sports person, if you're an art, if you're artist, or be it, you can have that 5 semesters to work on that, build your profile. And then the next 2-3 semesters, even if it is that is kind of little sidelined, and if you're focusing on your exams, marks, and your applications, that will still kind of balance it out. So it is just a piece of advice that please start early, build your profile. Just don't focus only on your marks or your scores. Grow yourself or groom yourself as an holistic person. And then your SOPs and LORs, they should be unique. Don't do copy paste job, control C, control V, won't work. In fact, it will only give a bad name regarding the university you're coming from and the country you're coming from, that Indian universities or Indian schools or Indian students usually do that. So let us not do that. Let us not get into that kind of a trap. It is not that Herculean task wherein you cannot come up with a unique LOR or an SOP. If you work for 1 week or 10 days, you can definitely it takes at least 1 week or 10 days. It is not something that you just write and send it off. It has to really, you have to really put in your heart and soul into it and express yourself through the words that this is what I am and this is the reason I'm pursuing it. So your SOP and LORs, when you are applying for it, ensure that you take your LORs only from the professors or the teachers with you have the longest association. Many a times people or students generally want the easiest path. If you were doing very well in one particular semester and you had built a good not understanding, don't take me another way, if you have like a good connection with that lecturer or a professor, you attend there, or maybe you just go to the head of the department even if they did not attend any of classes, just because he was your head of the department. Or you might just go and the VC's office or somebody whom you might be thinking, if I have VC sir's recommendation, I might be getting into the best university. It won't, because VC sir cannot actually write what exactly you are. For that, in case you go to a professor who actually have worked long, who has seen you closely, who knows you very well, that particular letter of recommendation will actually add value. So don't get into that particular kind of a trap or myth that getting it from the highest designation or your head of the departments or deans will help. That actually it is the other way around. Take it from the person with whom you had a longest academic or professional association, because that will add value and you will get a better score in the shortlisting. And regarding the scholarships and fundings actually are a very tricky thing, and at the same time I always believe it is also a little luck factor also. The right time, again, knowing which scholarship for what, which university, which professor. Usually in international universities, professors have good amount of funds wherein, and if you have a strong application, if you have these so-called the profile, instead, not just, I'm not talking about the GPA and the GRE scores, they definitely are like 40 or 50%, the next 50%. If you have a good profile, the professor from day one might offer you saying that I will have so-and-so student as my RA or a TA. That is quite a possibility, even if you don't have funding here, but immediately maybe from day one you can get it. And to be very honest, I was one of those. I never, my whole of master's, PhD, I didn't spend a single rupee, not even a single rupee. I mean, it is just that you have to apply at the right time. And many a times you might be failed. I was rejected my United States visa for 4 times. I got it in the 5th time. So rejection is a part of every game in the life. It is not just, it doesn't happen only to you or me. It happens with everybody. The only thing is the consistency and the motivation. What you have to do, you have to do. Sometimes it might take immediate, you might get it immediately, or sometimes it might take a little while, but that's okay. But if you are strong spirited and if you think that this is where I have to pursue my program, you can do it, because I'm sure you will be working in that direction with all your efforts, spirits, time, and all your resources. So it has to work out, if not today, tomorrow. So don't get disheartened. Apply on time, definitely, but for the scholarships and funding, you have to work on the profile, ensure, go through the list of the professors who are offering that particular course, who is the person who is working on the projects, what are the recent projects he must have had, because that kind of tells you, if not, usually money, the amount of project is also listed on most of the professors' websites in the United States or other countries, because that is a point of pride to tell that this is the amount of project that I'm working on. So you understand, like, okay, this particular professor has been awarded so and so funds for so and so project, and if it is matching your area of doing masters, if you are doing in environmental or water or transportation, or I don't know, maybe anything else, in computer science, in AI or machine learning, or drones or robots, any other area, if your professor has that kind of, if he's matching your area and if he has some good funds, you should say hello to him, talk to him. We can help you on how to talk, what kind of an email that you can send. You can explore some opportunities and you can definitely apply. Usually in these emails, these professors would encourage to talk, because at the first round, they would ask, share your profile or something. And if they think that your profile matches the requirements, they encourage you to apply to the university. Sometimes they might say your profile is kind of okay, you can try. But in case you have a strong profile, maybe then and there they might, it is not something like giving you an I-20, don't take me the other way, but they will show an inclination saying that in case you get admitted, there will be some chances which we can explore. Please remember that until and unless everything is finalized, usually most of us, even we, and especially in abroad, what I have observed is, they don't promise anything, they don't commit anything until unless it is 100% done. So don't take anything for granted, saying that, okay, sir, you have told me that you will give me or you will consider me, and after you going, you might not get. So you can't get into any kind of that kind of a discussion, but that will give you an edge, thinking that, okay, this professor, this university, this program are high chances. What I understand from Dr. Sunil is that most of you are applying for 6 to 8 universities who are like for sure shot, who are like okay, and who are like most of highest repute. In case trying out for like, if I get into best universities, or if not, you still have these 3 or 4 universities where you get an I-20. That is definitely a good strategy. And with these, among these 6 universities, you can even explore this particular perspective of finding out the right professor who is working in the same research area. International office will definitely help you. Don't send random emails which don't make sense or anything. Don't do that without any peer guidance. We will help you on what to write, how to write, to whom to write, in case you're interested in exploring that particular angle as well. So that is one thing. And the right course, right university, as I already have discussed, and the right country, and first come, first serve for sure. So we at the international office, we don't, this is just a reiteration of what I have said in the previous thing. We not only help with the identification of the schools, universities, and sharing you the list of universities across the globe which are offering the programs of your choice. This, we will also be coming up with scholarship awareness series very soon. We are working on that. And we will also help you or mentor you with your profile and brand building. How do you actually showcase yourself, your resume, your SOP and everything. And whom do you approach, and what should your LOR look like? We will definitely help you. So we not only this, but in case there is something that I missed out and you must be having some practical problems on ground realities when you're really applying, you can definitely let us know and we will be there for you. So these are some of the list of the scholarships that I had just had, and I'm sure most of you must be knowing about this, but we will be going about these in detail in the next session. Sometime very soon, we will be having that. There are n number of scholarships. It is only that we need to have the right idea, and we need to match the deadlines. And in fact, we have to apply quite ahead for these. We cannot do this in the last minute. But we will be doing an awareness series even on the scholarships very soon, and we can have an elaborate discussion at that point of time. So basically, the idea is that the international office would want to help you in every possible direction and help so that you pursue your dream of international higher education, be it your exams, be it your application packages or scholarships, or choosing the university or program or course or anything. So you don't have to really hesitate. We are just an email away. You can write to us anytime. One thing is that we will be also floating a Google Doc very soon, in which I'm expecting these suggestions from all of you. What kind of support you're really expecting from international office? What kind of information do you want us to share on a regular basis? What are the specific areas where you need a larger support or help, that saying that, ma'am, this is where we usually get stuck, so kindly bridge this gap? Or what are the problems you're facing right now in these higher education applications? So we would want to take your feedback and build our flow chart accordingly, because ultimately the service is, or these offices, to ensure that your aspirations are met. And I would want to consider you and then build it accordingly, rather than having my own vision or something from the office. So we will be floating in Google Doc very soon in the next couple of days. I would want all of you to fill it up so that we can come up with a better support system for your aspirations. So that is all from my side. And I think if you have any questions, we can discuss after Dr. Sunil's discussion as well, because he would want to talk to you all. And after that, we can open for a few questions and any kind of other discussion you would want.
Thank you,
Dr.
Dr. Shweta.
Sunil?
Yes, Dr. Shweta, can you make me as a co-host so that I can able to share the screen? Yeah.
Okay.
So you can see me in the participants list, and then you can just.
I did it. I think
Yeah,
you are
okay.
virtual class, right?
Right. Yes, that's right. Yeah. Okay, so hope everybody can able to see my screen. Yeah. So yeah, so good evening, respected VC sir. Good evening, students, and good evening, Dr. Shweta. So thank you, VC sir, for the encouragement, motivation, and support as always. Thank you, Dr. Shweta, for the detailed presentation on IIS studies. And I think you have covered almost what I am going to present also. I think it's almost covered. So I will just give students a brief overview about what are all the steps that need to be taken to get into good universities abroad. Okay, I am Dr. Sunil. So, and before going on to my presentation, I just wanted you people to know about the IIS studies achievements that was done by your seniors. Okay, that is 2017 batch. So I think in 2017 batch, there are in total 24 students have been admitted into several premier universities for their master's program. And I have given a breakdown here. So where CSC 11 students have gone, and ECE 6 students, and from mechanical 3, from biology 2, and liberal arts 2. So there are total 24 students who have gone for master's program abroad. And most of them have attained attractive scholarships, which is more than $8,000 per year, okay, from their respective admitted universities. So that's even more important. I think Dr. Shweta was also giving much importance on applying scholarships, like when you are applying for the universities. So most of our students have got admitted into top 100 QBuzz ranked universities. That is your seniors. They have got admitted into top 100 QBuzz ranked universities. And each and every student have got multiple admission letters from the top QBuzz ranked universities. Okay. And not only abroad, and there is two students, one student from BSc Computer Science got admitted into IIM Shillong, and another student from BTech Computer Science got admitted into IIM Ranchi for their MBA programs. Okay, and another student from Mechanical Engineering has secured an Erasmus Mundus fellowship. That's again a prestigious scholarship where you don't need to pay a single penny for your master's degree program. That is given in the European countries. And these are some of the universities that your seniors went into, and they are studying currently there. right now. So I think I have listed most of the universities where your seniors are studying right now. So just for your information. So most of them are in New York University, and one student is in ESMT Berlin, Germany, and University of California, Berkeley, University of Wisconsin, Madison. So this is the list of universities where your seniors are currently studying their master's program. And so that's it about the achievements of your seniors. So I think this is the slide that I have prepared, but I think most of it was already covered by Dr. Shweta. So I think I will just give a brief overview again. So how to apply to universities abroad. So it's like there are 8 steps that I have split into. So first step is like plan well in advance. That is the most important thing. I think even Dr. Shweta was emphasizing on the same. So just plan before, like, okay, and choose the target universities and target courses. That's even more important. And step 2 is like complete the admission test and get your scores ready, which means the competitive exams like GRE, TOEFL, IELTS, and if you're going for MBA, CAT, GMAT. So finish all the competitive exams, required competitive exams, and get your scores ready. That is step 2, okay? And if you're in step 3, you start applying to universities abroad. And when you are applying, don't forget to apply for scholarships as well, okay? So there is a high chance, like if you are applying in early bad admissions, so I think there is a high chance that you can able to get scholarships. So if during the first call itself, it's better you peoples apply to the university so that there is a high chance of you peoples getting scholarships. So these are the first 4 steps and most important steps. And there is another 4 steps, like step number 5 is getting a good letter of recommendation. As Dr. Shweta mentioned, so it's better to get letter of recommendation from the known faculty, or from your favorite faculty who knows you very well, or if you have done some UROP project or capstone, not capstone, UROP project, then I think you can approach that particular faculty so that he knows like how you have done the research project, as well as like if he or she had taught you some courses, I think you can approach those kind of faculties for letters of recommendation. And step 6 is like creating a good resume and essay for your application. So essay in the sense, like if you're applying for MBA, then I think you need to have an essay as well. But for MS, I don't think you need to have an essay. And create a good resume, building your CV. And step 7, nail your statement of purpose. So statement of purpose should be like highlighted, and they will give so much of importance, like the universities will give so much of importance to the statement of purpose. So make sure that you get that right, okay? And finally, pay the application fee, submit your application and monitor your applications. So it's also your job to monitor your applications. In case, like if you're applying for multiple universities, you might miss your emails, right? So it's better to monitor your applications. Like if you applied for 6 universities, you just apply and monitor all the 6 applications in which stage they are in, okay? And I frequently get emails. So this is my last slide, I guess. So I frequently get emails from our students related to where to get the grade sheets, exam, that is, you need to approach exam department, okay? So if, for example, like if you are in 7th semester, if you're applying for higher studies, then the grade sheets until 6th semester, so you should write an email to exam department, okay? And so that they will be giving you grade sheets until 6th semester within a day or 2, okay? And second is like, there are some students writing me email about like, for example, they haven't finished the minor course, all 4 or 5 courses, required 4 or 5 courses, but they have finished 1 or 2 courses in the minor certificate program, but they think that that minor certificate or minor course completion for those 2 courses will help them in getting a scholarship or help them in getting a dream university. So in that case, like you can approach academic affairs office. So they are ready to give a letter pad in which they state that like, okay, so-and-so person has completed these 2 courses in minor program, and so-and-so person has yet to register for these 2 courses in the minor program. So in this case, like I think some of the students were like too much worried about like whether to get this minor programs. So I think the university will help you to get this minor programs if you approach academic affairs office. So where they will be giving you not the grade sheet, but they will be giving you that, say for example, a person named Sri Ramamurthy. Okay, Sri Ramamurthy has done statistics course and he has completed the statistics course. So that is the thing that will be given. There will be no grade will be given on your course. Okay, so you need to approach bona fide certificate for bona fide certificate and the minor course certificates to academic affairs office. And letter of recommendation, as Dr. Shweta mentioned, approach your known faculty, your favorite faculty, so that they know you very well and they can give you a best letter of recommendation. And resume and statement of purpose. This is not like you can approach, I mean, you have to write your, you have to write your resume, you have to write your own statement of purpose, but for some kind of like, say, for example, a modification, or like you think that it can be improved or something like that. So then in that case, like you can approach IR office, or you can approach a studies committee, or even you can approach your favorite English faculties that are in our university. Okay. And they can help you to make sure that your resume or statement of purpose is like top notch. Okay. So this you can able to just request. It's not like you just come with a blank paper and ask someone to write your statement of purpose. It doesn't work like that. So you need to write a statement of purpose, and then for some kind of a modifications or making sure that it is top notch. So you need to approach and request some of the faculty in English department, or like IR office or IR studies committee. So I think that's from my end. So thank you very much for listening to us. And I think over to you, Dr. Shweta. I'll stop sharing the screen.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Dr. Sunil. Students, now you must be knowing whom to approach for what, because your bona fides, your mark sheets, your any other relevant documents that you would want for your application, it is very important to know who is the right person, so that you don't spend time running from pillar to post. So now you know that where exactly you have to go, whom to approach, where to write, and where exactly is the international office and whom to approach. You must have got a lot of information. I would request you all to kindly share this with all the students, or your friends, or your juniors, or your seniors, whoever were not able to make this to this webinar today for whatever reason. So kindly share the information, whoever is interested in higher education, especially in abroad, so that they also know what is happening. And we would definitely want your feedback and your suggestions on how you want us to support you. As Dr. Sunil was mentioning, don't expect us to write on a blank sheet. You have to put in your thoughts. It is not something which we can give it to you as ready-made thing. We just can't print it out and give it to you. So you have to, because you know yourself much better than anybody. So only you can express what you want, what you are, what you want to do. We can just definitely help you with something else in glamorizing it, or editing it, modifying it, adding few more good adjectives or verbs here and there, but we cannot write what you are or what you really want to do. It is just you who has to do that. So I'm sure you must be having a lot of information today, and we will look forward to work very closely with you all, and we will be meeting you all very regularly, and we will be having a close interaction with all the students who would be applying for the coming fall very regularly, in fact once in a week or even less than that, so that we don't miss on any student who is aspiring for higher education. We will definitely extend the best possible support. So before concluding, I would definitely want our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, to once again share his thoughts, and we can conclude after that. Sir, please, sir.
So wonderful, Dr. Sweta and Dr. Sunil Chinadurai. Very informative, comprehensive. Maybe some more discussion would bring in more clarity. In the next session, our students will come with more questions. The question answer session will bring better clarity and the way forward. So the very first session has gone off very well. Somebody sent me one suggestion while it was going on. We could have, in fact, invited many of our faculty and other people. They would have, maybe next time you should remember. So they will also have more information about this. Everybody may not have the amount of information that you people have collected, although they have international exposure. So thank you, and I must congratulate you for a wonderful session. So thank you, my dear students, for giving me this opportunity to interact with you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. And definitely we will have our faculty and other heads and deans also participate next time. And students, in case you have any questions, not elaborate, if you want us to take any questions, we can take maybe 2 or 3 questions. If not, we can have an exclusive question and answer session sometime next week, maybe same Thursday, if that works. But in case you want, definitely you can shoot some questions real quickly. That's fine. We can take it.
Hi, ma'am. So
I think there is
basically,
one question here. All Cal State universities are asking us to send sealed transcripts. Everybody asks for sealed transcripts. I think the university must give sealed transcript with a stamped sealed transcripts. So Dean Academic Affairs, now for your information, a new Dean Faculty and Academic Affairs is going to join on Monday. There is a Academic Affairs Office, a Dean, a Deputy Dean, whom you all know, Dr. Shivkumar, and all those people who are associated with the Deputy Registrar Office earlier. Maybe few names where people may be able to tell, senior manager in that office. Okay. Dr. Sunil, can you tell those senior managers?
Yes, sir. I think Miss Ambika,
Yeah.
Swapna, Miss
Yeah.
Swapna,
Yeah.
and
These are the
Idris,
people whom
yeah.
you for seal transcripts. So you can approach. And anyway, going forward, we will be giving the procedure how to get these transcripts. Over to you, Dr.
We can come up with a proper flow chart, both academically and administratively. Who is the person with whom you have to contact, and who is the person who will help you with what document. So we will share a complete document within the next 1 week. By next Wednesday or Thursday, you will be having it. So that will be like an handbook or a small manual for you to how do you apply and what are the resources within the university from whom you can expect what. So we'll definitely come up with that and we'll share it with you very soon. There was some student who was asking. Yes, we can definitely have one Q&A session per week. We will come up with a fixed time slot every week so that you can register and you can make yourself available. And we will do that very soon, and I'll share it with you by Saturday or Monday morning. On this, I'll work on with the other colleagues of mine in the international office, and we'll come up with a fixed schedule. Any other questions? Okay.
ma'am,
yeah.
What should I mention to get an NOC, ma'am? I mean, what should be in the mail?
What should be in the email?
Yes, ma'am, to get an NOC.
No, for can I answer, madam? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for no objection certificate, I think so. If Vamsi, you are interested in both placement and higher studies?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So the thing is like, say, this rule has happened because if some of the students who are getting placed in some good company and they are not joining that company and instead they are going for higher studies, so which means that the company is not going to visit SRM again. So this kind of situations happened before. So that is the reason we are asking NOC so that we know like whom actually going for higher studies and who is not going for higher studies. So better you approach CRCS department. They are having this NOC form, and you take that NOC form and you need to get signature from your HOD, respective HOD, and then you give it to the CRCS team so that they can track what is happening. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Means actually, still I am not selected, sir. That's why I'm just asking.
So if you are not selected, no issues actually. But some people are getting selected in marquee companies or dream companies, and then they are not joining, and instead they are going for higher studies. So at that point of
if I am not selected now, I can directly contact them, right? I mean my professors.
Yeah, but there is a rule in our university, right? So if you have got placed in one company, then you need to move out of the placement and apply. You can apply for higher studies.
Oh.
Yes.
I mean, actually, I was not selected till now. I mailed sir, one of my professors. He asked me to give NOC.
Okay.
So I don't know what to do. I was not selected.
Better approach CRCS department. They have the NOC form, and I think you can fill the form and get a signature from your respective HOD.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So basically, because we make a lot of efforts, the placement department works very hard to bring the companies here of that to mark you and Super Dream companies. So in case students take offers and they just don't join, that will not give a good remark on the university. So maybe that is the reason we have a formality set in place. But since everything is very organized, it should not be a it should not be a hassle for you all, and I'm sure CRCS or be it the department, they'll definitely cooperate and they'll help you with whatever you want. Only thing is you need to approach the right person.
Uh, Sorry to interrupt, ma'am. So I have a query towards PhD. So basically, few of us are applying towards PhD, so we need the guidance towards that. So we are not aware of the process. Nor how do I approach a professor over there? So if there could be some session towards that, it would be
Definitely,
helpful.
we do an exclusive session for doctoral programs. In case, even if you're applying for PhD, the competitive exams and the application package and everything will be the same thing. Only thing is that with respect to PhD, you should ensure that you have a fund, because usually for PhD positions are something which are fully funded. And we need to ensure that you're approaching the right person, because it is all research based. So we will definitely have a webinar or an interaction exclusively for doctoral programs. We'll do it.
So adding on to that point, actually, there is a integrated MS PhD program. So where you can do like MS and PhD in 5 years. So most of the universities are offering integrated MS and PhD program. So you can search online, and I think if your university or if your target university is offering that particular program, like integrated MS and PhD program, then I think you can apply for that university and you can apply for scholarship as well. As Dr. Shweta was mentioning, there is high chance of like you getting a even a tuition fee waiver, like if your credentials are really good.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Sir, will there be any training sessions for competitive exams like GRE and all? So, I mean, in the last Google form, it's like a question like, do you need any training for those exams and all? So they mentioned they'll be starting from October and all. So will there be any that kind of thing?
Yeah, we have, as I have mentioned, we have established some collaboration with the exam support vendors, and we will be floating the information very soon within the next week. So there will be some in-house support for you all.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
I'll wrap it up for now. It's past 7. And for any more questions, as I have shared before, you can write it to ir.helpdesk@srmap.edu. And you all are very familiar with Dr. Sunil. So you can even approach him personally, or even write to the international office at associatedirector.ir, whatever is convenient. We're all here to help you all. And we will have regular series on different topics and different with different agenda, very specifically charted out for you all. And till then, all the very best, and kindly share the information with all your friends or your colleagues or students, seniors, juniors, everybody. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think, thank you, madam. And before that, before we close, there is one more question related to, I think it's important. There are many students who want to answer for this question. There is a question from Shravani. Sir, I got transcripts till 5th semester only because MOOC course results which I opted in 6th semester are not yet updated in portal. Okay, so for this also, you need to contact Academic Affairs Office. So they are ready to give a kind of, what can I say, like the so-and-so courses have been completed in the 6th semester. So she is waiting for, he or she is waiting for the other subject to get uploaded, or the marks has to be updated, right? So even you need to approach for the same thing like MOOC courses or like other minor courses I mentioned. Please approach Academic Affairs Office. They are ready to help you, and they will give you whatever you need in a day or two, like the certificates. Yeah, that's it. My end, from my end, madam. Yeah, you can. Yeah.
So students, is that all for tonight? And we'll again keep meeting regularly. Okay. So thank you, VC sir. Thank you so much for your time and inputs. And we'll definitely take this forward as often as possible.
Yeah. Thank you very much, VC sir. Yeah. Thank you, madam. Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Good night.